Welcome back to the cryptowrld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, Bitcoin just confirms this new bullish divergence in the short term, as we've just seen inflation come in below expectations, but the price of Bitcoin is still retesting this critical line on the price chart, while the price of Ethereum is also testing this important level of support, while the price of Solana is also now confirming a new signal in the short term, while XRP is currently testing very important resistance in the short term. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, just before we take a look at the Bitcoin charts today, taking a quick look at the US CPI inflation, which obviously came out over the last one day, a matter of hours ago, and of course it came in just underneath expectations. If you watched my last video here on the channel, you'll know that the expected outcome was 2.9% year over year, but we ended up seeing 2.8% year over year CPI inflation. And so obviously this means inflation is heading in the right direction. The target inflation rate, in case you're new to all of this, is 2%. That's what basically the Federal Reserve targets. So we've fallen from 3% at the last result to now 2.8%. So that is some good news in the short term, but obviously it's still pretty close to expectations. So it's not extremely bullish, but it is good news. But I am seeing a lot of people out there saying that because this is below expectations, we're going to go to the moon and we're going to see massive bullish price action and new all-time highs soon. And just be aware of the fact that just because we saw slightly below expectations, it does not guarantee we're going to see significant bullish price action. Obviously, I explained in my last video, if we're still pretty close to expectations, like 2.8% or 3%, we'll likely see relatively neutral price action, nothing too crazy. And so just be aware of the hype that's been spread about this as of right now. Once again, it's not that significant for the markets, considering it's relatively close to expectations. But if we're taking a look at the Bitcoin price chart today here on the 4-day time frame, we are still seeing this red indicator, this red signal in the super trend indicator, obviously a bearish signal, so nothing has changed over the last few days. And if we're taking a look at this weekly Bitcoin chart, of course the weekly Bitcoin MACD has been looking bearish for the last 1.5 months approximately, as I've been saying every day over the last 1 to 1.5 months now. And if we're taking a look at this weekly Bitcoin chart, we still have a significant bearish divergence on this weekly time frame, as I've been saying basically every day over the last 2 months. And so what these charts are telling us is that we should not necessarily expect a lot of bullish momentum really anytime soon, as in talking about a number of weeks or months, and instead it is more likely we'll either see a continued pullback in the next few weeks or months, or at best just a bit of sideways price action. But I wouldn't necessarily expect a lot of bullish momentum like what we saw back here, for example. I'd not be expecting that at least anytime soon. But if we're taking a look at this daily Bitcoin chart, as of right now, obviously we're bouncing from just above this 50% retracement level, acting as support at close to 76,000, just under 76,000. So obviously we bounced from basically just above 76,000, and we're currently retesting this previous Fibonacci level of support, which is acting as a small amount of resistance at close to 83,000, at just under 83,000. But if we see a further breakout here, then obviously, at least in the short term, that is a good thing to see. That's some good news. And in that case, the next significant resistance for Bitcoin is basically in the low 90K area, especially around 91 to 92K. And if we're taking a look at this 3-day Bitcoin chart, of course, we still have that significant area of support towards the downside if we ultimately continue this pullback here, which is sitting in between around 70,000 to 74,000 based on previous significant resistance becoming new support. And we also have a lot of traded volume in the volume profile indicator, sitting at close to 70,000 and just under 70,000, also acting as strong support. And as I always say, we are not guaranteed to actually hit those prices, but if we do reach those prices, we'll likely find strong support around there, which means the price will likely bounce around there if we actually make it there. And in terms of resistance based on the volume profile indicator, we have a lot of resistance in around the mid 90K area approximately, but also based on previous support becoming new resistance, a lot of resistance in the low 90K area. And in terms of this larger price structure on the daily time frame, technically speaking, this is all bearish price structure. As of right now, we have been forming lower highs and lower lows, breaking below support and rejecting from resistance. And so I would only really start to flip much more bullish again on Bitcoin here on the daily time frame once we actually see a confirmed breakout at least back above around 92k and ideally back above around 95 to 96k. And in the meantime, obviously we can see small bullish moves here and there, like bouncing from support and things like that, but ultimately the larger price structure is simply bearish. That is simply the situation right now, but there is some short-term hope potentially for the next week or so, week or 2 weeks, for example, based on this bullish divergence on the daily Bitcoin chart. And just over the last 1 day, we've now officially confirmed one confirmation signal to confirm the higher low in place in the daily Bitcoin RSI, as we can see just here, which means we now technically have confirmed the bullish divergence on the daily time frame. So this means that it's very likely that over the next 1 or 2 weeks, we'll see either a little bit of a bullish relief, something like this, for example, or at the very least, just a bit of choppy sideways price action. So basically a break or a relief from all of the bearish momentum here. But it's important to understand that a bullish divergence by itself does not guarantee that we're going to reverse completely out of the bearish trend and basically see no more bearish price action. It does not mean that. Once again, it just means most likely a bit of a relief, a break from the bearish price action for maybe 1 or 2 weeks, but then it is possible that we can ultimately continue more bearish price action later on. So just keep that in mind. And so this is actually a pretty good signal, not financial advice, but it's a good signal to potentially take profits out of some short positions. So once again, not financial advice, but let's just say if you're shorting this bearish move towards the downside, which means profiting from the bearish price action, in case you're new to all of this, basically this tells us to perhaps take a bit of profits out of those short positions, just in case we see a little bit of a relief in the meantime, and then maybe at some of these slightly higher levels of resistance, we could potentially add to short positions maybe later on. But even though, of course, we're looking more bearish than bullish, especially on the weekly Bitcoin chart, right now I'll not necessarily open a new short position, considering we now have this bullish divergence that will likely play out at least just here in the short term. And if we're taking a look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, of course, we still have a lot of liquidity towards the downside, sitting at around 74,000 and major liquidity at around 71 to 72,000. So basically in the lower 70k area, we have massive liquidity, which basically means a bunch of long positions will be wiped out of the market once the price actually crosses below those levels. And in case you're new to all of this, usually, not always, but usually the price of Bitcoin tends to move towards where there's a lot of liquidity. So just keep that in mind. And as for liquidity towards the upside, we have a relatively small amount at approximately 100,000. But obviously between now and then, we have a lot of resistance to pay attention to. And most of the liquidity, at least in the short term, is below the current price. But if you want to actually trade any of these moves in the price of Bitcoin or any other crypto, personally, I'm starting to take more of my trades over on 2bit. So I'll make sure to leave a link to 2bit below this video in the description and in the pinned comment. And if you use that link, it'll take you to this page right here where you can claim some massive trading bonuses, like for example, a brand new Mercedes-Benz or $50,000 in trading rewards simply just by trading crypto using that link. But if you're not one of these larger traders here, you can still claim some decent bonuses, like for example, a $30 sign up bonus, which you can only claim using that link, and also a 20% deposit rebate up to a max of 200 USDT. So basically, if you deposit $1,000, you get a $200 bonus onto your 2bit account, but only if you use that link. And on top of all of that, if you use the link below this video to 2bit, you are automatically upgraded to VIP level 1 trading fees, which basically means you get a massive fee discount. You get lowered trading fees over on 2bit, but once again, only if you use that link. So if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well check this out. Once again, first link below this video. But for whatever reason, if you don't want 2bit as an exchange, there is also Bitfinex as another exchange out there that I also trade on. So I will also make sure to leave a link to Bitfinex below this video in the description and in the pinned comment. And in case you're wondering, Bitfinex is a no KYC exchange, the same as 2bit. And if you're using the link below this video to Bitfinex, you can also claim some exclusive bonuses like a massive 10% discount on all trading fees that's only available using that link. But with that being said, getting into Ethereum, taking a look at the weekly Ethereum price chart. And as of right now, obviously the price structure on the larger timeframes is still looking extremely bearish. bearish. But if we're taking a look at this 3-day Ethereum price chart, we're still running into this Fibonacci level of support sitting at just under 1.9k, around 1870 to 1880 approximately. But ultimately, if we further confirm a break towards the downside here with more candle closes, or especially if we reject from that level, flipping it into new resistance, in that case, in the coming days and weeks, I would expect a continued drop down towards around 1.5k. But keep in mind, Ethereum would likely play out somewhat similar price action to what Bitcoin is doing. So for example, if Bitcoin's playing out that bullish divergence and sees a slight little relief in the short term over the next 1 or 2 weeks, would likely see something similar, not the exact same, but something similar for Ethereum. And so there's honestly not much else really to add here for Ethereum. So getting straight into the price of Solana, looking at the weekly time frame, obviously the larger price structure is still currently looking bearish. We're still playing out a massive bearish rising wedge pattern with a bearish price target at around $90 per Solana. But as I've been saying throughout this entire drop, even though I have a price target at $90, we cannot ignore support. We still have a lot of support within this region right here, in between around 120 to 130. And so obviously, at least for now, the price is indeed finding a lot of support in that exact price range, exactly as expected. But if, for example, we actually confirm a break with significant candle closes below around 120, in that case, expect a continued move down towards that $90 price target. And so despite seeing short-term bounces from support and things like that here and there, of course, overall, we're currently looking more bearish than we are bullish in terms of the larger price structure as of right now. But if we're taking a look at this daily time frame, we're starting to confirm a new bullish divergence on the daily Solana chart, with lower lows already confirmed in the price and higher lows just now starting to confirm in the daily Solana RSI. And now technically we do have one confirmation signal here to confirm the higher low in place, to confirm the bullish divergence, but at least for now we haven't really seen a massive bounce here in the RSI. So technically, even though we have some confirmation, we don't really have a lot of confirmation for this bullish divergence for Solana. And so ultimately, I'd like to see a little bit more of a bounce here to actually further cement the higher low in place here in the RSI, to be more confident in this bullish divergence actually playing out. But at least for now, based on the current situation, it is increasing the probability here that we'll likely see a little bit of a break or relief from all of the bearish momentum here. So once again, not necessarily the end of this bearish trend, but just a bit of a relief in the somewhat shorter term. And the more confirmation we see, the better, because at least for now, it can quickly invalidate in terms of the bullish divergence here. At least for now, considering the lack in confirmation, we only have a small little bounce here. Once again, it's very easy to just see a quick break to the downside in the RSI, which would invalidate the bullish divergence if that actually happens. But Solana, just like I said for Ethereum, would likely follow somewhat similar price action to Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin has a bit of a relief in the shorter term over the next 1 or 2 weeks, expect something similar for Solana. And with that being said, if we're taking a look at the price of XRP on the 3-day time frame, technically speaking, on this 3-day chart, we still have a massive bearish divergence, which is still currently active, at least as of right now, telling us we should not necessarily expect a significant amount of sustained bullish momentum towards the upside. And yes, we can see some short-term bounces here and there. As I've been saying this entire time, expect little short-term bounces here and there, but not sustained bullish momentum. And obviously, that's been perfectly playing out over the last couple of months as expected. But if we're taking a look at the shorter term, looking at the 8-hour XRP chart, as of right now, obviously, we're bouncing from this area of support, sitting in between around $1.95 to $2.05. So obviously, that's very good news that the price, at least as of right now, is still holding above that area. And we're actually now retesting this previous area of support, which is currently acting as resistance, sitting in between around $2.25 to $2.30. So just keep in mind the price might struggle around here and possibly reject from that area. But if we can finally see a confirmed breakout with candle closes back above around $2.30, in that case, we could finally see a continued relief, potentially back into the $2.60 range. Because ultimately, above $2.30, we don't really have a lot of major resistance within this area right here, in between around $2.30 to $2.60. We could find a small amount of resistance at close to $2.50, but other than that, the next major resistance above $2.30 is really in between around $2.65 to $2.80. And in fact, if the price breaks out back above around $2.30 with confirmation, so candle closes And even better, if we flip that into new support, then the price might simply just enter a bit more of a sideways price range, chopping around sideways for some time here. And remember, if Bitcoin sees a bullish relief or basically just a break from the bearish price action in the shorter term, expect something similar for XRP and a lot of the major altcoins. And with that being said, taking a look at the price of Chainlink on the daily time frame, and right now Chainlink is bouncing from close to this Fibonacci level of support, which was sitting at around 1270 to 1280, and at least for now that is still currently acting as support. And if we were to see a further confirmed break towards the downside with candle closes well below around 1270 to 1280, and especially if we flip that into new resistance, rejecting from like that, then in that case would likely see a continued move down towards around $10. But for now, the next major resistance to watch out for if we see a further bounce here is starting at around $14.50 and going up towards around $15 approximately, and above that we have strong resistance at around $17.50 to $18. And once again, as I've been saying throughout this video, while Bitcoin plays out a bit of a relief in the short term, expect something similar for Chainlink and a lot of the major altcoins. So that could be a likely scenario. Yes, we can see little short-term bounces here and there during a larger bearish trend, but ultimately in terms of the larger price structure, at least for now, we are simply still looking bearish, as I've been saying for a long time now on the channel, for months now on the channel. You can even go back and look. Obviously, I've been talking about the significant lower highs, the lower lows, breaking below support levels, rejecting from resistance levels, which is all bearish price structure. But remember, if you want to actually trade any of these moves in the price of any crypto, check out the links below this video to those exchanges if you want to claim those massive bonuses that are only available using those links. And if you want to actually know how to trade crypto for yourself, no matter what the price is doing, if the price is bullish, bearish, or chopping around sideways, you can profit from all of that price action by watching these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions, and the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.